What I want to do is really take you through some basics of detecting the adulteration of fruit juice. It may be heavy, it might be hard, but hopefully there's going to be lots of examples, so it won't be quite as horrendous as it might seem. So, what I want to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about the background, some problems we've had in the past, and the types of way we've gone about detecting it. Go on to talk about fruit juices. I'm not really going to have time to talk about honey and agave, but I'll just sort of touch on it. And I'm going to finish up in more of the voodoo area using DNA methodology for adulteration. I'm only going to touch on it, but it's a route that us chemists have been developing in the last few years, and sometimes it's really the best way of going about it. In 2009, the FDA officially recognized food frauds as an issue, and you can read that. I'm not going to read it, it's boring. But basically what it means is if someone's going to cheat, they make the product look as if it is more expensive than it is. And I think probably the best example of that was the melamine scandal in 2008, where people in China were making their milk powders look more milk powdery by adding melamine, which is a very good source of nitrogen. That had significant ramifications. They think that around 300,000 people had their health damaged, and 6 babies were killed, let alone a whole load of pets. Fortunately or unfortunately, the Chinese government was a little bit rigorous, and they killed 2 people for their actions. So the states have been very good, offering periods of stays in federal penitentiaries when people are caught. The Chinese go one step further. Let's have a look at what I'm going to talk about. Typically, we're talking about profit. So someone wants to make an illicit profit. It can involve misrepresentation of geographical origin or fruit variety if you happen to have a particularly expensive fruit or variety, and someone's making it with a cheap material, or you're selling orange juice from Florida when in fact it's not from Florida. Fortunately, most of the cases, it doesn't involve a risk to health. We're talking about using food-grade materials. However, there is always a risk, and obviously the melamine is a perfect example of that. And there's obviously a criminal element there. So, driving force, illicit profit. Typically, you're taking a premium foodstuff and adding a cheaper material. So that can be fruit, that can be honey, that can be agave. It's typically more of a problem when commodity prices are high. If you don't know who you're buying from, your risk increases, and therefore you should do audits and things like that. Also, a very good example of this problem was in 2013, where horse meat was produced in Romania. It was exported from Romania as horse meat. Unfortunately, between there and somewhere in Western Europe, the labels fell off and it suddenly turned into beef. And so, if you have a very long supply chain, you're likely to have problems. If you're a company buying raw materials and you don't do any testing, you won't have any problems. I will guarantee that. You will not have any problems. However, someone may come knocking on the door and say, you have a problem. Well, we didn't find one. And therefore, it's an insurance policy. You should do some testing. Unfortunately, we always have the problem with suppliers. Well, they're no good methods. You can't pick anything up. We can do what we like. Well, other people are cheating, so why shouldn't we? And many years ago, I was having a conversation with a producer from the eastern end of the Mediterranean, and we'd failed some of his product. And he said, well, what's the problem with a little bit of sugar in the juice? There's no problem. However, if you label it as 100% juice, there shouldn't be any added sugar. Illicit profit. Okay. Most suppliers are honest, and they will give you what you want. So, take that as a fact. However, there are a few cheats out there, and you need to take steps to make sure you don't have problems. There are ways of doing that. If you audit the suppliers or you use third-party systems, you can reduce the risk. However, if you are auditing, you still need to do supplier verification, so you still need to test. And always tell your buyers everything has a price. And if a price is too good, then there may well be a very good reason why the price is too good.